Hello friends, today we're going to talk about an advanced graphics card on Fiji Pro Core by GIGABYTE. Almost a year has passed since the announcement of leading graphics cards AMD Radeon R9 Fury X, R9 Fury and R9 Nano. And if we had already a chance to get acquainted with R9 Nano during this time, then the other two models appeared in our lab just now, when the market is already beginning to offer the first modifications of new products from NVIDIA of 216. And we have a specific interest in the forthcoming comparison of R9 Fury X, Fury and Nano with the new leading models from NVIDIA and models based on AMD Polaris. But we will discuss this in our uncommon reviews, and now let's focus on Radeon R9 Fury. As you can see, versions Fiji XT and Fiji Pro primarily differ in the different number of stream processors and texture units, as well as the operating clock frequency. As regards other specifications, they are identical. Let's consider in more detail all the features of R9 Fury in terms of modification GIGABYTE Radeon R9 Fury WINDFORCE 3X OC. The card's packaging corresponds to its top-grade standing. It is supplied in a fairly large box, which design includes the familiar style of GIGABYTE brand, and the high-quality printing is rather informative. The graphics cards apart, we have also found quite a standard set of accessories, documentation, a CD with software and one adapter for power supply. Certainly, GIGABYTE suggested that power supply units of 600 watts must have their own 8-pin PCIe connectors, at least one. GIGABYTE Radeon R9 Fury WINDFORCE 3X OC is made on an original circuit board of black color with enlarged dimensions. You should at once gain sight of unavailable conventional memory chips, as all of the 4 HBM chips are located on the GPU layer. The power supply subsystem is made according to the enhanced 10-phase scheme, 8 phases for the GPU and 2 for the memory, while the power supply of the reference version corresponds to the 7-phase design. Digital PWM controller has a number of safety technologies, in particular protection against overvoltage, undervoltage, overcurrent and increased temperature. The adapter can be powered through PCI Express to 16 slot and 2 8-pin PCIe connectors, which are located on the board side. It makes no difficulty to connect and disconnect the cables. GIGABYTE is great. The tested model is based on GPU AMD Fiji Pro, produced by 28nm technological process. It includes 3584 stream processors, 64 rasterization units and 224 texture units. The GPU's dynamic frequency is increased by 10 MHz as compared to the reference and makes 110 MHz. The memory with a total capacity of 4 GB is assembled by 4 HBM chips from SK Hynix, which operate at an effective frequency of 1000 MHz. Data exchange between the graphics processor and the memory is implemented via 496-bit bars, which has the bandwidth of 512 GB per second. The tested model displays the image by means of the modified set of interfaces. GIGABYTE added one DVI-D, which expands the list of monitors that can be connected without additional adapters. The branded cooling system WINDFORCE 3X, in addition to the very restrained design, has rather large dimensions. The video card with the installed cooling system occupies 2.5 expansion slots and has a total length of 291 mm as measured in our lab. The very cooler consists of a massive twin-unit radiator, which is assembled by means of 56 and 64 nickel-plated aluminum plates. It also includes 3 axial fans with blades of 77 mm in diameter. They are mounted on the aluminum casing, which covers all construction from the top. The fans implement Cooler Master propellers with the improved blade shape and slider bearings with an extended service life. 5 copper heat pipes are used to promote an efficient heat exchange, 2 8mm pipes on the sides and 3 6mm pipes in the center. Unfortunately, they are not covered with a layer of nickel, which prevents copper oxidation that further could unfavorably affect the efficient cooling. In this case, contact of the heat pipes with the copper base and radiator ribs is strengthened by solder alloy. By the way, here you can clearly see the performance of GIGABYTE Direct Heat Pipe Touch technology, where the heat pipes contact the graphics core directly through a thin layer of thermal paste. In its turn, cooling of the power elements of the graphics core supply subsystem is implemented due to the direct contact with the radiator by means of thermal interface. By automatic control of the fan speed and under maximum load, the graphics core heated up to 69 degrees. In this case, the cooler operated at 46% of its maximum power. The noise level was quite comfortable and subjectively it could be described as quiet. Under no load, frequencies of the graphics core and of the memory were automatically reduced. In this case, the cooler switches to passive mode, therefore it doesn't generate any noise. The GPU temperature didn't exceed 44 degrees. In this case, the utility sensors operated incorrectly and showed somehow that the cooler was rotated at 25%. As a result, the performance and the level of acoustic comfort create an exclusively comfortable impression of GIGABYTE WINDFORCE React's cooling system performance. It copes well with its functions and doesn't interfere with high level of noise in everyday use. In addition, we shall know that unlike AMD Radeon R9 Nano, the tested model did not decrease the GPU frequency at high loads, since it has no TDP limit of 175 watts and employs more efficient cooling system. Let's start with comparing performance of GIGABYTE Radeon R9 Fury WINDFORCE 3X OC with Radeon R9 Nano. Should we consider the average records, then R9 Nano yielded about 1% in all the tests. In the same test, excluding 4K Ultra HD, the gap decreased to 0.5%. And this is despite the fact that R9 Nano has a complete version of AMD Fiji. It means that it has more stream processors and texture units, but because of 175 watts limit, the graphics core cannot reveal its computing power to full extent, and during operation its frequency does not reach the declared 1000 MHz. R9 390X got behind too, but on average by 4.6% or by 1.5% excluding 4K Ultra HD. Taking into account the impressive difference in cost between the two graphics cards, the model from GIGABYTE is more preferable due to the lower power consumption. As for models from NVIDIA, namely GTX 980 and GTX 980 Ti, they both managed to get ahead of our hero. 980 got ahead by 6.4% on average, or 10.5% excluding 4K Ultra HD. And 980 Ti broke fourth much more significantly, 42% in all the tests. Taking into account the fact that the cost of AMD Radeon R9 Fury occupies position between GTX 980 and 980 Ti, although 980 Ti is just a bit more expensive, it is not quite reasonable to purchase a video card from AMD. By means of MCI Afterburner utility we managed to raise the voltage of the GPU up to 1206 mV by increasing the parameter power limit. As a result, the clock frequency was increased from 1010 to 1087 MHz, a gain of 7.6%. Here with the graphics memory speed remained the same. After the overclocking, the test band consumption in MCI Combustor benchmark increased from 54 to 422 watts. During the overclocking, rotation speed of all the fans was forcibly fixed at the maximum level. The temperature of the GPU did not exceed 54 degrees even during overclocking. This shows the excellent margin of safety of the implemented cooling system and fine energy efficiency of the GPU itself. But at the same time, the noise level was significantly higher than the average rate and became uncomfortable for constant operation. Finally, we managed to gain the 5% growth. This is a good result for such a small increase in the GPU frequency, and on average it minimizes the lag from GTX 980, although it cannot catch up the lost advantage in terms of price-performance ratio. The results of our acquaintance with AMD Radeon R9 Fury on the example of the model from GIGABYTE give the ground to make a univocal conclusion that at the moment it is only worth purchasing just by devoted AMD fans. And it's all due to the point that almost for the same money you can get GeForce GTX 980 Ti, which will be much more productive. Or you can save about $140 and buy GTX 980, which has almost identical performance and lower power consumption. Also, do not forget that NVIDIA has already released models GTX 1080 and GTX 1070. You can already find the first version on sale, while the second will be available in the market since the 10th of June. As for the modification from GIGABYTE, we did not have any complaints. GIGABYTE coped well with its objective by installing WINDFORCE React's cooling system, efficient and quiet in everyday operation, as well as by implementing high-quality components, enhanced power system and upgraded set of external interfaces. Best regards to you, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Bye bye.